Philip Selway may be best known as the multi-talented drummer in Radiohead, but in recent years he's done quite a lot more than playing the drums. A multi-talented composer, singer and performer, he scored soundtracks for film and dance projects and released a string of well-received albums that blend everything from contemporary classical music to electronica. I managed to track him down to talk about the latest ICO collaboration, which is part of the Kilkenny Festival. As a drummer, you must have a great sense of rhythm. Now, you're going to find yourself on stage with a whole load of classical musicians who notoriously play behind the beat. So I'm guessing this must drive you mad. What is it like for you working with classical musicians?
Well, if it is true about playing behind the beat, then we're going to be way behind the beat because in my drumming, that is kind of one of the the hallmarks of it. I just play slightly behind, so yeah, there's going to be a real lag on this show, isn't there? I am so excited about playing with the ICO, and I like that kind of where those two worlds meet. That kind of, I guess, you know, what I do. That kind of self-taught rock, pop, whatever kind of thing, and the classical world. I think they, if you've got somebody there in the middle of it who can kind of communicate, bring the two together, then it's a really kind of rich and fruitful collaboration. I think, you know, there are bits which kind of I sit there and do puzzle me a bit, you know, saying, and if we can take it from bar 62, sitting there thinking, which lyric is that, please? But you know, it's always, I mean, whatever musician you play with, anybody who does it professionally, they've done their 10,000 hours plus, and it always, you get that sense working with classically trained musicians, that sense of discipline in how they've trained, in how they've thought about music. You know, it is such an amazing skill set to rub up against.
Well, I know the orchestra are really looking forward to this exactly the thing you say, this meeting point in the middle between classical and kind of what you do. Is there's this kind of very small gap into which something magical can fit, and it's a great place to be in as a classical musician. Your album, it's called Strange Dance. So I'm wondering a little bit about the inspiration for this work, and also on a very personal level, what does it mean to you?
Well, the Strange Dance kind of concept in it, that was the very last piece of the puzzle, if you like, when I was making the record. It was I suppose I was thinking about kind of where lyrically where the album sat, and it felt for me it was coming out of a time of my life when I was trying to kind of marry up all these seemingly contradictory aspects of your life, and kind of the contortions that you go through to do that. It is a wonderful place to be. You know, it can be a wonderfully rich place, complicated place, and stressful place at points. But you do end up kind of moving through this strange dance in your life, and I felt as an image, I felt that was it kind of summed up what I was aiming for lyrically on the record, and then kind of musically as well. You know, just trying to marry up all these different kind of musical elements in there, all the musical voices of the people that I've collaborated with over the past decade, so people like Quinta and Adrian Utley, and then all the incredible string and brass arrangements by Laura Moody, the percussionist Valentina Magaletti, and there's Hannah Peel as well. Oh, the list goes on. And just trying to marry up all these elements, and kind of with bringing all these orchestral elements as as well into the soundscape, and then just having that kind of at the center of that, you know, it's kind of this very intimate vocal as well. So in a way, that was quite the process of marrying up all those elements was a strange dance in itself, and I was very lucky to have the talents of Marta Salogni as the producer on this record, who was able to help me pull all of that together.
I love this idea of a strange dance. To me, I kind of always have this feeling as we kind of pass through our lives that when we're younger, everything's kind of exciting and new. And then as life goes on, things become a bit less comfortable somehow. And this idea of kind of sitting with the discomfort and seeing what comes out of it, the way you express it as a strange dance, I can really resonate with that. When you say about the music illustrating this strange dance, what will people actually hear? What does it sound like, you know, to the listener?
Yeah, well, kind of going into the record, I kind of had an idea of the soundscape that I wanted for it. That felt quite clear in my head, actually, which was something that was kind of broad and tall, almost like a musical world that you could walk around in and live in there, if you like, and but also something that would be that should wrap around you and be very comforting as well. And actually, I mean, kind of with the show coming up at St Canice's, for me that is that's almost kind of like the embodiment of what I was trying to create here. You know, you have that big space. I mean, that very overworked phrase, sonic cathedral. I got an actual cathedral for this one, and then all those different musical elements in there. So yes, I mean, I hope for people who come to the show that's what they'll take away, that sense of being, of the music wrapping around them, and it's a reflective space. It's as I say, I hope it's a comforting space as well at the same time.
And you talk about this kind of sense of comforting, sense of reflection. I'm curious to know the difference for the performing with Radiohead and then performing in this environment, this kind of very different feel to it. What does that mean to you at this point in your life?
It is quite a different experience from Radiohead. I mean, I think where it crosses over is, and Radiohead's a very immersive experience, I think, live, and I hope this is as well. It's a very different discipline for me, and something that I've been kind of working towards for the past decade, because in Radiohead, you know, my view from the stage is very different. It's from behind a drum kit, and I see the backsides of all my bandmates, mostly. And so I don't get that view on my shows, and it's a different discipline to learn. It's a different stagecraft to learn. But you know, you're trying to project the same things musically. You're trying to make those same kind of emotional connections in the show, but having gone for kind of like 20 years of Radiohead, to when I started playing my own stuff live, never having had to speak between songs, and then just trying to find where your comfort zone with that, and kind of trying to find your best self to be on stage. So that's been really interesting me, very challenging at points, but it's stretched me musically and performatively in a really good way.
Philip, I'm really very much looking forward to the performance. Thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me this morning.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you, Matthew.